Howdy, the name's Coasterman, and we are going to be heading to the Omniplex today. Or at least, it used to be the Omniplex. It is actually called the Science Museum of Oklahoma City. Though I do prefer the name Omniplex, I do have to admit, a science museum is a science museum no matter the name. So, we're about to step into the door, as soon as we get into the car and get up there, and I'll meet you there. Here we have a piece of history about the very first moon landing. This is one of the most iconic phrases ever uttered in the world. One giant leap, although it's incomplete. It says, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That was uttered by one of the astronauts on the first moon landing. And they put a flag up there for good measure. Like, they wanted everyone to know that the moon was a major milestone for America. So, that's pretty cool. But also, again, these guys were super brave. We have the Apollo Service Propulsion System engine. The service module contains the main spacecraft propulsion engine, which is used to slow the aircraft and put it into orbit around the moon, as well as send it on the homeward journey towards Earth. This engine is also used to correct the spacecraft's course on both trips, to and from the moon. About 75% of the service module's weight is in propellant for the service propulsion engine. Yeah. Chew on that for a little bit. Alrighty. Apparently this is the gallery containing the Apollo 10 recovery. So, I might need to get a little bit closer for this one. So, there are helicopters in that picture. Probably a helicopter in that one as well. Maybe a plane. I don't know. Then we have a ship of sorts, maybe? Then we have this picture with a big group of people. Or a small group, depending on how you see it. Then, okay. Quite possibly an aircraft carrier? I don't know. Then we have another group of people. 2 helicopters. And a group of either Air Force or Navy. Don't remember which. And then this is involving the rocket itself. You can see the iconic shape of the Apollo module. Astronauts that went into space there. More on the spaceship. Alright. And there we go. And then we have a bust statue of Thomas F. Stafford, the America's 13th man into space. Okay, interesting. So this is apparently a command service lunar module, or at least a miniature version of it. So this thing was a control center as well as the living quarters for the majority of the lunar mission. It was also the only part of the spacecraft recovered at the end of the mission. The service module provided propulsion, power, and consumable resources like oxygen and water. The command and service modules were connected much of the flight and are often referred to as the CSM, but just before re-entry, the service module would be separated from the command module. The command module returned the astronauts to Earth, while the service module was left to burn up in the atmosphere. The lunar module, or lunar excursion module, was composed of 2 stages. the descent stage and the ascent stage. The descent stage would power the landing on the lunar surface and provide a launch pad for the ascent stage, which would transport the astronauts back to the command module for the trip back home. Okay, cool. So, that's pretty interesting bit of history there. Here we have the LR-87 rocket boosters. Because the Gemini capsule was bigger and heavier than the Mercury capsule, NASA had to select a more powerful rocket than the launch vehicles previously used in Project Mercury. NASA chose a modified Titan II made by Martin Marietta, known today as Lockheed Martin. Produced by Aerojet, the LR-87 was the engine used to power the primary stage of the Titan II, a two-stage rocket. Though the LR-87 was the first production rocket engine capable of burning 3 liquid propellant combinations for use on the Titan II, the engine used Aerozine 50, a mixture of hydrazine and unsymmetrical, I can't even pronounce that D word, as fuel and nitrogen tetroxide as an oxidizer. This combination is hypergolic, which means the two agents ignite when mixed together. The LR-87 is a fixed-thrust engine and could not be throttled or restarted in flight. Though this engine consists of 2 engines working together, it's considered a single unit. Each of the engine's thrust chambers could be tilted independently on a gimbal for steering. Okay. Some of these words have faded out letters. I'm sorry. But, yeah, the LR-87. This may actually be a more full-scale lunar module. This is what we saw in that display case over yonder. And, given this view of it, this thing is huge. You could definitely, well, I say that, but this door here is tiny. But can you imagine how big this thing actually was? I mean, seriously. No man. I don't even think that a child could fit in that. So, yeah. These things can be huge. This is the Robert Goddard liquid fuel rocket replica. This is basically a design replica of the Robert Goddard liquid fuel rocket. So, I'm guessing solid fuel wasn't an option at the time? I don't know. All I do know is that it's probably just as likely to experience problems as the next rockets in line. But hey, you know what? Oh, now here we've got some design history on this thing. This is a V2. I believe that's the same designation given to a German ballistic missile. Basically, that means that this thing would launch into the air and fall onto the target, and with modern technology, you would have practically pinpoint aiming. However, back in the olden days, they didn't have that, and thus, the aim was probably a little bit sketchy. Now we come onto another rocket, basically the same as the V2. This one is a miniature model that was once launched into the air via electricity. The flight lasted 15 seconds. But the thing is, this thing was launched into the sky and gently floated back down via parachute. So, for those people that were watching at the time, this was probably pretty exciting to you. Myself, you know what? I'm a sucker for fireworks, so I'll give this one a solid exception to the rule. Alright, so this thing is probably a simulator of the International Space Station, or ISS. Basically, this little thing is going to test how well you can actually put stuff together on the International Space Station itself. I'm pretty sure that it's a pretty complex puzzle, but you know what? I'm up to the challenge, I think. Let's see what we got. So this is the screen you get to look at while you're doing it, so...
Discovery Houston, we have 5 minutes until loss of signal, so we'd like you to complete the document within 2 minutes of 5.
So let's see what's
standing by for you. Good luck.
Alright. So... apparently, we're working on the thrusts.
75 feet. Approach speed is good.
Alright. So...
Well, it doesn't look like you're trying to fly, so I'm going to reset the show. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Oops. Well, I guess I was right about it being complex. So, I'm gonna actually try it off camera and see if I can actually get it this time. So, yeah. I didn't really do too much better while I was doing it at full focus, so yeah, I'm not a rocket scientist. Oh well, let's go on ahead and get on to the next exhibit, shall we? Entirely sure what this little thing is, but for the reasons that it looks like an old rocket from several decades ago, I'm just going to call this Unidentified Ancient Rocket Number 1. So, this could be anything around like the Mercury or Apollo rockets. So, yeah. One apparently is the Gemini 9. This thing is, well, I think the Gemini project is kind of old. Like, it's kind of a, I don't remember. Like, it's just, I don't remember in which order this is in, but it's the Gemini 9. One thing that I haven't showed off yet. The Omniplex has a glass elevator to where you can just look out as you are going up or down. Pretty cool, huh? I told you that there was another attraction like the one up at the Destination Space Place. Well, down on the first floor, pretty close to Segway Park, there is a bicycle gyro wheel. So, basically, the same rules apply here. And honestly speaking, one of the things I was probably doing wrong was giving it one spin and thinking that would be good enough. So let's see what would happen if I got it spinning as fast as I could and then try and get it to work. Again, didn't get a terrible speed on the bicycle gyro thing, but you know, yeah, maybe I'm just not smart enough. Anyway, I believe that'll be about it for this one. Join me for more vlogs soon, and this is Coasterman, and I'll see you later.